Well, hello and welcome to the HORNBACK podcast. This is episode 19 dos. You know what 19 dos means? Spanish, I believe dos means twice. Apparently, when I did the 19th episode, I did not realize that it actually should have been episode 18. So we had two episodes 19, actually this is the second 19th episode. So apologize for that. It's been about a week since we've been together. A lot of stuff's been happening here locally and across the state. A lot of things have happened in the music industry. So, you know, we got a lot of things to talk about. But I do want to just take just a few minutes to talk about the controversy that's happened with country music artist Morgan Wallen. As we know, the TMZ obtained a video where he used a racial profanity, which is not cool. It's not appropriate. But interestingly enough, you know, there's been some talk about the fact that country radio pulled him off. His record company has pulled his deal. The Association of Country Music has said they won't allow him to perform on the next awards program. All legitimate business decisions. But interestingly enough, I heard on the radio today that his record sales have skyrocketed. And I think what it really talks about is the fact that, you know, when a similar incident happened, not because they used any racial epithet or racial language, but like when the Dixie Chicks got pulled for being overseas and criticizing the war effort and the president, and country music listeners kind of abandoned them. Back then, when that happened, country music was not driven by streams, by Apple, by Spotify. And so, you know, I think what this shows is there was so many different places that have been playing his music. People have been getting it for free. And so now they're actually purchasing what they want to hear. Does it make it right? No. But it just goes to show how the country music, not just country music, rappers, any kind of entertainer, Christian music recording artist, they're all have been pushed into the streaming world, into the downloads. And instead of buying an album that has 12 songs on it, or and an artist like Granger Smith, a guy that I've met, a guy that I've purchased all his Yee apparel. You know, he put out a double album. Instead of being able to just, you know, and if you want to get one or two songs, you would buy the whole album. I still buy all of Granger's CDs, by the way. But you can go and just purchase one song for 99 cents. And so now that the industry, right or wrong, has pulled Morgan off of radio, people are now going and buying his songs on the streaming services. So, again, I say that not to say that Morgan Wallen was right, and because he wasn't. I don't say that his record company was wrong because they weren't. What I'm saying is this draws attention to what has happened to the music industry in being forced into the digital downloads. And into the digital streaming services. We love the streaming services here at the Brian Hornback Podcast because we rely on all of them. We rely on Apple, we rely on Spotify, we rely on Google, we rely on Radio Public, we rely on Pocket Cast, we rely on Breaker. We also have just are now on iHeart Podcast. And of course on Anchor FM. That's where we produce this podcast. That's where we host this podcast. That's where we store this podcast. And so, and I think if you're listening to this podcast on anywhere other than YouTube, and we're on YouTube, looking at you right now, YouTube, you probably hear the Anchor FM ad that is on all the audio streaming podcast of this show. So, okay, enough of the music industry controversy. I again just say that to say that, you know, it really as music has evolved and it's come into the streaming world where we can listen to it on our iPhones or on our Androids. That's just part of the problem that exists for artists out there. So, hey, our governor, Tennessee Governor Bill Lee, had a State of the State address tonight. It was interesting to see. It was in a large room, and only the elected members of the House of Representatives and the State Senate were allowed in. They were set apparently about 6 feet apart. I do have some screenshots of it. The governor had a great speech tonight. He's putting a lot of money back into public education, back into the teachers. He's putting money back into the communities for infrastructure. And it was a very promising talk. We're one of the top states in the country, one of only 7 that have had economic success because of during this whole COVID situation. We're one of the best in how we're administering the vaccine to our population. So there's a lot of great things going on in Tennessee, and that's because of Governor Bill Lee, our House Speaker Cameron Sexton, our Lieutenant Governor, Speaker of the Senate, Randy McNally, all doing great jobs. William Lamberth, our House Republican leader, all being great leaders that lead. They just finished an extraordinary session on education, passed some legislation to bring some money back to the school districts to help through the COVID situation. 146 of the 147 school districts in the state of Tennessee are now educating in some or have some form of in-person education going on. And so things are going well in Tennessee. Our governor's doing a great job in leading, and our House leaders and our Senate leaders are doing a great job as well. So kudos to the state. On a local level, we still have some things going on that are interesting. There was a discussion, about a 2 hour, about 2.5 hour discussion amongst our city council and our county commission. They had a joint informational meeting last week to talk about the new multi-use baseball stadium, which would predominantly be used for the Tennessee Smokies, bringing them back from Sevierville. They were here for years and years and years and years, and former Mayor Victor Ashe ran them out of Knoxville from Caswell Park and ran them up to Sevierville, up to the exit 407, and so now there's a move back. Randy Boyd purchased that team in 2013, and he wants to bring it back. He owns the property that this stadium would be on in downtown Knoxville. And, we have one city council person, Amelia Parker, that has a lot of questions. She's an at-large city council member. She has a lot of questions. The city administration in particular, an employee to the Mayor India Kincannon, Stephanie Welch, really just didn't want, it did not appear, okay, from what I watched. And if you'll go to brianhornback.com and go down to the story on that meeting, you can click the link and you can sit there and watch the 2.5 hours, or you can just go ahead and fast forward toward the end and watch it. And you're welcome to have your own opinion. But it did not appear that Stephanie Welch really wanted to answer all the questions that City Councilwoman Amelia Parker had. And so it ended about as unfavorably the other night as it did in December, when Amelia Parker had a lot of questions, and a city council person cut her off and called for the question. I do believe that Randy Boyd and Steve Davis, who's the president of Jim Community Development, who is a development company that Mr. Boyd has created for this multi-use stadium, I do believe both of those gentlemen, being good businessmen, would have stayed until the very end to answer every question that Amelia Parker had, but clearly it was not what Stephanie Welch with the City of Knoxville wanted to do. And so this issue is going to continue to go on. It does appear to be on a track that's going to come to a. Their timeline right now is to appoint the Sports Authority members within the next couple of months. Ultimately, vote on something this summer and start construction in the fall. Construction will take about 2 years, but there'll be more to say about that. Also, last week, Paul's Oasis had a revocation hearing last Tuesday, and they lost their beer license for 60 days with a $7,000 fine. Paul's Oasis had multiple curfew violations from the Board of Health's curfew, and so that ultimately came down last week. The hearing was on Tuesday and lasted about 4 hours, and the order came down on Wednesday that they would lose their beer license for 60 days and have a $7,000 fine. Tomorrow, Tuesday, February the 9th, Billiards and Brews, another establishment that has had multiple curfew violations, will have a revocation hearing. And, I think it's the same situation. Multiple curfew violations. Unfortunately, there was an incident in the parking lot, which may or may not have been on Billiards and Brews property, where a gentleman's life was taken with a gunshot. I don't know if that'll come up in the revocation hearing tomorrow, but certainly that doesn't bode well for them. Also coming down the pike is multiple violations. I assume multiple violations. There's a revocation hearing coming up on Club XYZ within the next couple of weeks, and we'll see where that goes. So a lot of things going on. I do want to remind you of BrianHornback.com, 16-year-old blog platform where I write a lot about local news. This podcast is just another outgrowth of that, and we have good friends that advertise their businesses on BrianHornback.com, and that would be Just Homes Group, Julia Hurley, affiliated with Realty Executives in West Knoxville and the Farragut area. You can find her at justhomesgroup.com. Julia Hurley, you can call her at 865-237-7328. Just Homes Group. If you're looking to buy or sell, Julia Hurley is who you want, finding you your next forever home, or actually helping you to sell your existing home. Julia Hurley, justhomesgroup.com, 865-237-7328. Also, Interagency Insurance. Been in business since the mid to late 60s. Can write insurance business in about 38 of the 50 states. Lou Moran III leads that organization, and they can handle most all of your insurance business, your business insurance, any kind of business that you need. Lou Moran III at Interagency Insurance in Knoxville, Tennessee, 865-637-4519. A relatively new advertiser to BrianHornback.com is Pavlis Public Strategies. Nick Pavlis, he served 4 different terms on the Knoxville City Council. He served for 2 consecutive terms as an at-large member of the City Council, sat out for 4 years, came back and was elected and served 2 consecutive terms in the 1st District on the Knoxville City Council. Has served as Beer Board Chairman, has served as Vice Mayor of the City of Knoxville, has been in the business world most of his life, and has now launched Pavlis Public Strategies. He can help you with business strategies, governmental relations strategies. He can help you with campaign strategies. We've got a City of Knoxville election coming up this year, and if you're looking to run for one of the 5 City Council seats, then Nick Pavlis is who you want to talk to. Pavlis Public Strategies here in Knoxville, Tennessee. You can reach Nick at 865-599-4606. And last but certainly not least is Matlock Tire Service. Been in business since the 50s, I believe. They have 5 locations to serve you. They are East Tennessee's #1 tire and auto service center. Lenoir City, Maryville, Athens, Farragut, and their new location in Hardin Valley. MatlockTireService.com. You can also contact the office in Farragut, the one that's closest to me, 865-966-0425. So, I appreciate y'all listening. Again, I really want to get on a regular schedule with this podcast. Things have just been rather hectic, but hopefully I am going to be able to start getting into a regular routine on this thing. And now that we've had episode 19 dose, that means episode 19 twice, for those of you in Lower Von Orr. Then we will we'll get back on track. We'll have episode 20 on the next one, and we'll go from there. And hopefully, I'll get these people to quit blowing up my cell phone and coming through the podcast. But hey, that just goes to show that I'm doing the best I can here. But anyway, I do appreciate all of you listening. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors. If you're on YouTube, then I would appreciate a subscribe on my YouTube page, BrianHornback.com YouTube page. Like it, comment, give me a 5-star rating wherever you're listening to me, wherever you see it, and we'll be back in due time. All right, y'all have a great day. Thanks for listening to the Brian Hornback podcast. This was episode 19 deuce.